Hello, welcome to Gentle Yoga at 2 p.m. I'm Jeani. We're here at the ACC Community Room, and we have another day in store for yoga that will hopefully help us feel release and also a little strengthening, but mostly the release and just gentle yoga that will help us with any tightness in major muscle groups, the joints, and today's class is kind of a continuation of last week's. We're focusing on upper shoulder, let's see, the arms, and as well as going through our usual areas. But we'll be trying to hopefully focus with some of our cool down positions in the latter half of class. So that being said, just get your favorite props nearby. I don't think anything special, but if you have blocks nearby, it helps you if you need to meet the mat. And I think last week we had maybe a request to find different positions for the hands in our down dog. So I'll try to talk a little bit about that as well. So meeting at the back of the mat. Let's go ahead and just begin to arrive. And oftentimes, as we go through our practice and our routine, we're just repeating certain key parts of the practice so that our body begins to get to know our routine with a little more intuitiveness. Alrighty, so let's begin just simply noticing how the mat feels under the mat, under your feet. How the breath is entering the nose and how it exits the nose. Keep a gentle bend to the knees if you need. As we quiet down, we'll begin to cultivate a stronger sense of breath. Let's go ahead and bring our left palm to rest on our chest. Right palm underneath the belly button. And just breathe. As the air enters the body, you may feel the hand on the chest lift. As you begin to exhale with a little more control, feeling the belly start to contract. At the bottom of the exhale, you can pull the belly hand in towards the spine. Help expel that air. And as our breath becomes a little smoother in the transition between the inhales and the exhales, you'll find a longer breath. And with the help of a little space at the back of the throat, just a small, quiet sound at the back of the throat like an ocean wave. And now we're a little more connected to our Ujjayi breath, that ocean breath. Let's go ahead and bring the hands down to our sides. Begin by lifting the toes, the heels. Just reset our mountain. We're going to inhale. Start to feel the energy coming up the body from the mat, from the feet, through the crown of the head. And as we exhale slowly, feeling that energy return through the body in reverse direction, back to the earth. Fully engaged core at the bottom of this exhale. Then let's go ahead and inhale. Start to bring the weight of the feet towards the toes, transitioning our center of gravity to that tipping point. And then use the next breath, your exhale, to start bringing the center of gravity at the soles of the feet towards the heels, again to that tipping point. And giving yourself that heel to toe movement, we'll just get a mapping of our foundation here at the feet and meet at center when you're done. Inhale, lifting upwards, feeling a little longer and taller in our mountain. Let's go ahead and exhale. Just roll the weight towards the outer right edge of the feet. Stop when you're done breathing that first breath, and then take the next breath to come all the way back up to center, or continue to the other side. You can breathe from side to side like a metronome using a 2-part breath, or you can inhale to the center and exhale to either side until you find that horizontal mapping at the feet. We'll meet back at center. When you've done that, we'll go ahead and lift the feet and heels once more, reset the mountain, inhaling nice and tall, feeling that pull at the crown of the head. We're just going to make small circles at the feet, somewhere around the ankles, widening them till we get an idea of our perimeter, of the edge of the entire sole of the foot. Going in this direction, and then tightening in the circles, returning to home, right about top of the ankles when you've identified the edge. Let's go ahead and reset. Inhaling nice and tall once more, lifting upwards. We're now making small circles in the opposite direction. Moving slowly, just noticing how the shift requires us to respond. And to also see if there's anything in that path. See if there's any soreness, any tightness. And then once you've identified that perimeter, tighten in the circles and return to home base of mountain. Sinking back in. Let's inhale nice and tall once more. And we're just going to do some swivels at the hips using some ankle rotation. So you can start to move, swiveling from side to side. You can pivot on the heels as you get more and more to that side movement of just twisting gently, swaying gently, the arms maybe move, tapping the sides of the body as you move from side to side. We're lifting the ball of the foot as we become more and more oriented towards the sides, so we don't want to torque our knee. Just pivoting on the heel, and then letting the energy peter out and returning to home base. And it's just getting some movement in the shoulders and the hips and a little bit in the ankles and not too much in the knees. But we're just moving our way up to the shoulders now, returning into mountain, feeling nice and tall, bringing the hips just a little tucked under and pushed forward, just slightly pressing forward, maybe I should say. And then just here in our mountain, we're going to inhale deeply, lift the shoulders, and then exhale. Let them roll back and down. Tuck them into the mid-back as soon as you're done with the exhale. As we do a set of 4 breath cycles to help us with our rolling of the shoulder girdle, getting some movement in the upper shoulders, shoulder blades, using the breath to facilitate the length with the inhale and the release with the exhale. Let's do a second round. Inhaling up, this time roll the shoulders forward and then down, tucking into the mid-back, still at the end of the exhale. Total of 4 of these with the exhales, rolling the shoulders forward this time, and using that ocean breath. All right, let's go ahead and move on up. I always encourage releasing the feet if you have a tendency to grip the mat, which I do sometimes. So just resetting the home base, a little taller, a little stronger. Let's go ahead and inhale. Feel that lift from the crown of the head as if a string is pulling you up towards the ceiling. And then exhale. Let the right ear dip towards the right shoulder. We're leaving a spherical space about the size of a small orange tennis ball. And with the exhale, hopefully, you've turned the gaze to help release with a gentle side twist to the right. You might use your total of 4 breath cycles here to see if even the eyes can release by simply resting as far to the right as is comfortable. Use the breath. And after your fourth exhale, we can bring the eyes, the gaze, the head shining towards the top of the ceiling. We'll exhale towards the left side. Inhale, exhale to turn. Keeping the shoulders, hips, knees, and feet in alignment. Even distribution of support while we find release to the right side of our neck. And open the palms towards the front to help rotate the shoulders away from the ears. And then we can bring the eyes, the gaze, the head completely back up with the inhale. And then exhale, let the eyes rest somewhere at the top of the mat, about 6 feet in front of you. A nice long neck, slight tilt of the crown of the head at the top. But hopefully with the help of the breath, once more, we're finding length, circulation with each inhale, and with each exhale, release. And just hold the body as you need to keep this general form. Don't need to overly activate anything. And after your very last exhale, let's go ahead and inhale the eyes back to center, past the center point, and when you can see somewhat above you, stop craning the neck. You want to keep a nice open front of the neck without craning the back of the neck too much. Keep that deep breath going. And you can use small openings in the mouth, maybe a small O to a large O. Maybe just a slight opening so you can gently sway the jaw from side to side. Move it softly and gently. Deep breaths. And after your fourth exhale, we'll go ahead and bring the eyes back to center. Let's go ahead and shake out any kind of residual activation, gripping. And coming over, I'm going to move into a different set here of music. We're going to move into our sun salutations now. So coming in to our first part of the sun salutations, we're just going to fold. So at the back of the mat, let's go ahead and start reaching downward. Inhale, extend the arms upwards, and at the top, see if you can reach up even with the top of the breath. Exhale, start to engage the core and hinge at the hips. Folding, coming on down, halfway walking the hands if you need. But just let the next 5 breath cycles help you release in the lower back. Find that stability from the hips to the heels, and then let everything go from the tailbone, up the spine, through the arms, up the spine, through the neck, through the crown of the head. And in the next 5 breath cycles, maybe you can find just a little bit more release. You may find your chest coming a little closer to the thighs without jeopardizing or compromising your stability here at the lower body. See if you're holding on to your head. You can bobble the head from side to side, front to back. Let it just dangle like a plum weight if you'd like. Breathe deeply and let the arms release. And after about your next breath or so, consider coming out of your fold, your ragdoll fold, pretty deep fold here. So we're going to come out gently. We're going to start to engage the feet after your last exhale. Firm up the thighs. Start to bring up the spine, 1 vertebra at a time, walking the hands up if you need that extra support. And as we start to bring the head back to the top of the body, just let the shoulders release down the back. Distribute the weight at the feet and easily throughout the rest of your mountain, your body. 1 more inhale, 1 more exhale. Let's start to reach for our second fold. Inhaling, arms extend above our head. Exhale, engage the core and fold at the hips. Walk hands down if you need. And take about 3 breath cycles here. You can sway the hips from side to side. Still try to keep the upper body as relaxed as possible. And maintain that column of support from the hips down to the heels. With this next inhale, go ahead and make contact with your fingertips, with your palms, whether they're contacts at the shins, at the ankles, feet, or mat, maybe even the palms to the mat. Wherever you are, you're just trying to make contact so you can lengthen from the tailbone to the crown of the head. We're just going to get that half lift kind of situated here at the back of the mat today. And then exhale, just let the elbows bend and let the torso relax. Maybe it'll fold a little further. Maybe it'll just go back where it was. And then here we're going to inhale, engage the core. Start to press into the feet, extend the arms. And inhaling, we can walk up, slow curl, or we can come all the way back up with a straight back and hands down, heart center. Let's go ahead and start our walking meditation, pressing into the palms, lifting the right foot. Inhale, right foot up. Exhale, the right foot down. Inhale, left foot up. Exhale, the heel, ball of foot and toes down. Inhale, right foot up. Exhale, the heel, ball of foot and toes down. And at the top of the mat, we'll meet in mountain. Looking down at the fingertips, press into the palms. Inhale, hands go up. Exhale, separate the palms, hinge at the hips, contracting the core. Come on down for another fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, bend the knees if you need. Bring the hands down. And we're bringing one foot and then the other foot back. And then bring the knees, untuck the toes. And let's situate our first modified half plank here. So I'm a little too far forward. We want to find that much of the support at the bottom here of our body is by the shins, the tops of the feet. The top of the body having support right here at the hands, shoulders over the wrists. And if you can get the flat of your hands down, that's good. But if you have to tent them, that's what you must do too. If you have I'm going to shift back here for a second. If you have a fold right at the heels of your palms, that can help you to relieve some of the support stress at the wrist here. You can have your forearms down as well. So here, let's go ahead and inhale, tuck the toes, coming back to the hands, lift up the hips and press into the hips to press hips back towards the mat. You're extending through the arms, and you can have a deep bend to the knees. You can have the heels at the mat or lifted. What we're trying to do with our first down dog is just get a sense of how our body is feeling. And if your hands can be flat, that's good. Keeping the support so that you can have energy running down the hands, running down the legs, down the feet, while energy is lifting up through the abdomen, through that apex at the core. One more deep inhale. Look to the hands. Keep a bend to the knees if you need. And we're going to walk the hands to the back of the mat to our fold. Here, fully exhaled. Inhale, half lift. Press into your hands wherever they may be. Exhale, back towards the fold. Inhale, engage the core. Come on up, your choice. Core engaged either way. Inhaling all the way to the top. Exhaling, hands down, heart center. And we'll go ahead and start our second walking meditation. Inhale, right foot up. Exhale, the heel, ball of foot and toes down. Inhale, left foot up. Exhale, left foot down. Inhale, right foot up. Exhale it down. And at the top of the mat, We'll meet in mountain, looking down at the fingertips, press into the palms, watch it rise. Exhale, separate the palms and hinge at the hips for our fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Place palms down on the mat, hands on the mat, forearms on the mat if you need, and step one right long leg, one left long leg, and bring the shoulders over the wrists. You're hoping for a good 3 breath cycles here, but you could always bring your knees down. You can always just sit in child's pose as well and wait till we're ready. Inhale. Let's lift up the hips, and exhale, bring the hips back into our second down dog. And again, feel out your dog, see where you are. Your heels might be high up. You might be modifying in different ways, but just trying to find that lifting here at the hips while the feet and the hands, or perhaps they're the knees and the forearms. But we're here breathing. And with the next inhale, let's go ahead and look to the hands. Keep a bend to the knees if you need, and walk the hands to the back of the mat, to your fold. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Engage the core. Come on up, your choice. Back to mountain, hands down, heart center, and finally down to the sides. It's a good time to get a drink of water if you need. And we'll be moving into our balance pose. So this is our Warrior One pose. And I recommend, if you have trouble folding over, to have the blocks in your hands when you do this. And we'll just focus at the top of the mat here, begin the Warrior One from our mountain at the top, and stepping the left leg back, just with a small step. It doesn't have to be wide. But we're hoping with that small step back, we've got both hips squared to the top of the mat, not turning to one side or to the other. Just depends sometimes on the tightness of our hips. We can inhale, move forward, lift the back of the heel, and then see if we can bring the heel to rest on the mat if you're having difficulty straightening this back leg. But this is what we're focusing on at our foundation, just having heel to toe alignment, and then pivoting in this left heel just slightly. And just having one step back so that you can maintain the orientation of the hips at the top of the mat. Now, how does that look? I'm going to just turn to the side. Just keep something in mind. If you have a front foot alignment with a back foot where it's a one foot in front of the other, you're wobbly. It's like being on one railroad track. We don't want that. That's really unstable. You want to have at least a 2 railroad track system, but with the back heel pivoted inwards. So it sort of looks like this stance. So pivoting in this left heel, it lines up with the inner arch of my right front foot. So the front should look a little bit like this with your positioning of the feet. Now from the side view, that's a little wider. We're trying to keep the hips not moving from the corners, not moving to the corners, but staying put in the front. And this right here can be hard enough, just stabilizing the balance and keeping orientation so we have good stability in our foundation. Once you can do that, we'll go ahead and inhale. Bring the left foot back to the top of the mat. Return the left foot to mountain. Take a breath or two here. Give yourself a nice gentle bounce. And then we'll step back with our right leg, our right foot. Standing tall in mountain, inhale. And then exhale that right foot back. See where it lands. See how it feels in the hips. Notice if you can straighten that the back right leg. Notice if you need to keep the heel lifted in order to do that. Eventually, we're working on bringing the heel down with the right leg long and straight. And again, we're looking at heel to toe alignment for this top foot, but the back foot, that back heel is going to be in alignment with the inner arch of the top foot. So if I look down, I can pivot in my right heel a little bit and see that it's about in alignment with the inner arch. And hopefully I'm still keeping my right leg long and straight. And eventually bringing both hips with the foundation properly oriented. We can bring our hands to our hips. It'll just help us to further define the position. Let's go ahead and bring the hands down once more. Inhale, bend that back knee if you need to launch and come back to the top. Go ahead and take the blocks if you want. At this point, we're going to fold forward now with our Warrior One. And you can do it with the blocks. It's going to be easier to reach or fold. So I'll demonstrate with that first. And standing in mountain, let's go ahead and step back with the left leg. Inhaling, and then exhaling to step back. Pivot in that left heel just slightly. And if that's still too tight on your hips, you can make about an inch space in between that back heel and the inner arch of the top foot. But we still just want to make sure these hips are facing forward. Let's go ahead and lift up our arms. And then we're going to hinge at the hips. So find that engagement of the core. Start to fold forward. And if you need to bring these down a little farther, a little closer, and we're just bringing that down here. You can keep a bend to the knee if it's difficult to fold with your legs straight. And you're just breathing 2 more breath cycles here. Keep a bend to the knee if it's too much to straighten through the legs. It is a work in progress. And then you can relax, hopefully. Go ahead and deeply bend the knee. And we're going to inhale and come all the way back up. And then return the left leg to standing in mountain. Reset our mountain one more time. Inhaling deeply. Exhale, step the right foot back. Situate your orientation. Back heel aligned with the inner arch of the top foot. Once that's there, we'll go ahead and inhale, raise the arms above us. Exhale, hinging at the hips, fold forward, and bring the arms down. Maybe you need to walk your hands down here. Maybe you can bring the blocks so that you can rest your palms on the block. And again, keep the bend to the knees. Don't force the straightening of the legs if that's not working for you. You could be just really tight and you just need to work on stretching. So trying to keep the hips forward. And when you're ready, we're going to inhale, engage the core. Hinging at the hips, we're going to come all the way back up. You can do something with your hands. I was about to raise my hands to help bring yourself back up. And bend the back knee, launch forward, and we're returning to mountain. Let's go ahead and bring the blocks to the sides. And lifting up the feet, just shake out anything in the wrists, in the feet, in the toes. Give yourself a nice little ankle roll, just a little bit. Each ankle, and then we'll make our way down to the mat. We're meeting in a wide-legged stretch, and I'm going to approach it from the side. Usually I'm at the side of the mat facing the camera, but I'm going to approach it from this side so you can see the angle of the back as we're doing this. We'll be doing a side stretch as well. So make your way down to the mat, however is safest for you. And I'm just going to get an extra squat stretch in that. And coming down onto your hips. So for me, I like to get a stretch in my calves and whatnot so I can just sit back. But if that's too much for you, you can always move to the side and bring the hips down and then extend through the legs. All righty. Now, as usual, not all of us have the same flexibility, openness of our hips. So you might have only maybe a foot width distance between the feet. Average person might be 3 feet, but you could be anywhere between 1 foot and maybe even less if you have personal issues. So just give yourself a little bit of time to open up. sometimes it just takes a while to get into the next pose as well. So I turned my thigh flesh inward, helping to get some of the flesh free. If you felt any compression in the seat, in the thighs, any buckling or pinching, we want to relieve that. If the knees can still face direct orientation towards the ceiling, that's what we're looking for. And then you can just relax the legs. They'll probably roll out a little bit. Now that's your first spot here. If you are pretty wide and you find that as we do our side stretches, it's a little too wide, you can always come back out and then shorten your stance. But don't shorten the stance while we're still folded. Okay, so here we are. We're in my version of a wide-legged stance. And we're going to inhale nice and tall. And then exhale. Start to walk the hands forward until you stop hinging at the hips. If you have to curve at the back, then we've lost what we're trying to do here at the hips. We want to keep a nice straight back and hinge at the hips until we stop folding forward. And for everyone, that's a little different. So just lead with the chest, feel nice and long in the torso, and then stop when the body just naturally stops folding. Give yourself a breath or two and just release now. Now you can release any thing in the upper shoulders, and you can just let it curve gently, curl gently. Let's go ahead and inhale. Start to bring the hands to extend in front of you and then walk them in towards the hips so you can lift up the torso once more. We're going to turn the knees to be oriented towards the ceiling once more if we start to roll out. And this time, as we inhale tall, we're going to turn with the exhale to the right until we stop turning. Now, we're not forcing our twist to the right here, our turn to the right. We're just turning until we stop turning the torso. It just will naturally reach its edge. And then we can go ahead and inhale the right arm out, up above our head, and bring this left arm out to the side of the left leg, and then start to hinge with the chest face towards the side, and you're just leaning, finding that reach with the right hip glued to the floor. You're finding that length from the right hip all the way to the fingertips of the right finger. You can use the bend of the left elbow to help extend through that stretch. If you just bend further and lift through the right side of your rib cage, you'll get an even deeper stretch to your right side. And then you may find that you're folding closer to that left leg. Wherever you are, when you find that edge, we'll go ahead and bring that arm, sweep it behind us, and just let it rest the back of the hand, maybe at the right buttock, maybe at the sacrum, maybe at the hip. Turn your gaze to the left and breathe. One more breath cycle. And then we're going to turn the head back to center and centered with our torso. We're going to start to walk the hands towards the hips so we can lift up the torso back to center. Inhaling deeply, lifting up, energizing upwards. We're going to exhale to the other side and stop turning when we just naturally stop. Give yourself one more inhale here. One more exhale. Then we'll bring the right hand to the outer right leg. Inhale, left hand goes up. Our chin and our chest are in the same orientation direction. We lift up, and then we exhale, start to fold towards the right leg. This right arm can go further down. You can deepen the stretch by just simply bending this right elbow. We want to keep, again, the rib cage lifted as we're bending over, stretching over, and keeping this left hip glued to the mat. We'll find that stretch all the way to the fingertips of the left hand. And hopefully we're moving our way to a side stretch. When you've found you're getting a nice deep stretch here, one more deep inhale. Exhale, sweep the arm back and let it just rest on your side there. Maybe the back of the hand is on the left hip. Maybe it's on the sacrum. And then turn the gaze. A couple more breaths here. Bring the right hand in to help support this right side fold if you need. One more deep inhale. One more deep exhale. Then turn the gaze so you're back in center with your chest. Inhale, start to walk the hands up so that the torso is back upright. And then exhale back to center. Just let the torso release. And then we'll go ahead and wiggle your toes. We have one more position here, and it's a seated butterfly. So as we wiggle our toes, we're going to start to bring the feet together. See if you can roll on the outer edge of your feet and just start to bring your feet into a foundation for pigeon. And again, your pigeon might be more diamond-shaped at this foundation. If it's really open and you can bring your knees down to the floor, you'll have more of a butterfly shape to your legs. But my hips are pretty tight, so it's diamond-shaped for me today. And just give yourself, once you've gotten to this position, it's about 3 to 5 breaths to find your edge. Once you're there, give a deep inhale. Try to lengthen from the tailbone through the crown of the head. Gentle tuck of the chin if you need. We don't want to curve the back here. Here we're just having a nice, tall, energized torso. Use the hands to gently hold on. Fingers can just kind of gently hold on to either the shins, the ankles. Maybe you've got a hold of your toes today. But you're just trying to lengthen through the upper body and find that nice stretch while you're opening up through both hips. One more deep inhale. One more deep exhale. Bring that belly button, expel all the air, contract the abdomen. And then let's go ahead and release the legs. Bring the hands to the side. And you can lean back if you need. We're going to slightly start to guide the knees upwards as we bring the soles of the feet to the mat. You might be really fragile, so try to lift up and then in. So in case there's any impingement with your hips. Now once you do that, lean all the way back, bringing the feet about hips distance apart. And we're just going to give ourselves a slight gluteal massage. Just windshield wipe the knees from one side to the other. And we're just rolling on the soles of the feet. We're not moving the placement of the feet. We're just rolling from side to side. And hopefully we're rolling our hips, our sacrum at the same time. And then let's go ahead and come on up, bringing the chest closer to the thighs. And if you have tight hips like I do, your knees may want to separate. So don't force it, but we're trying to eventually lengthen up from the tailbone all the way through the spine, through the crown of the head. And try to have the chest as close to the thighs as you can comfortably bear. You may have to wrap your hands under your thighs. You might be able to bring the knees together closer, the feet together a little closer, and maybe wrap your hands all the way around. Again, depends on the openness of your hips. Now, as we're sitting upright, we're balancing on our sits bones. And hopefully what you can do is get that nice long length in the torso. Start to bring the hands to just hold right underneath the knees. And your elbows nice and relaxed at the sides here. We're just going to open up those elbows. Start to lean this long, straight back, further back until you feel your abs engage in this straight position with a gentle tuck of the chin. And once you find that ab engagement, you can test it. You can come into this very modified boat by releasing one hand out to the side, another to this side. You are in a boat. It's very modified, but this is engaging the core. And eventually we could lift one leg and then the other and be in a full boat like a V. But we're not going to do this because this is gentle yoga. We're doing a great version of boat. And then let's go ahead and bring the hands back down and bring the torso back up. And let's lengthen through the legs. You can lift the hands at the hips to help resituate the tailbone, the hips, and just gently tap out the knees. And now we're going to come on to our bellies. So you can tuck your legs underneath you. You can find your way onto your belly that best suits you. And my mat is a little folded up here, so I'm going to unfold that. And as we come onto our belly, one elbow at a time for me. Knees, shins, tops of my feet, my belly, and chest. And it's my first time being on my belly. I highly recommend you just give yourself a breath or two here. You can rest your forehead on pillowed hands. Backs of the hands are supporting the brow. And notice if there's any holding of joints like your shoulder, maybe your hips. Are you tenting it? Are you able to release and just let them kind of melt into the mat? You may find yourself yawning. You may find yourself breathing deep sighs. But as we slow down, and especially in these belly poses, we start to engage more of our relaxed nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system really is helping us to just let go of all the activation we had earlier. So for Cobra, let's go ahead and bring the elbows to our ribs. We'll bring the hands somewhere underneath the shoulders and feel like your palms are just gripping the mat as flat as you can. You just want to hold it and grip it. And what we're going to do is inhale, press into the belly and the hands. And you're just going to feel like you're pulling forward like we do in Sphinx, and then lifting slightly at the shoulders. You're looking down, and hopefully not too much compression here at the lower back. For some of us, if your back is not strong, you may only have the slight intention of lifting up. Your shoulders may never even lift off of the mat. But for some of us, we might have a complete peeling to a high cobra. So find out where you are and what you're just looking for the first set. It's just this pulling, this pressing down, pulling forward of the torso like in Sphinx, and then just a lifting up of the shoulders as it is available to you in your progress with Cobra. Crown of the head, slightly diagonally lifting. Shoulders are wide. And then exhale. Bring the chin to rest gently on the mat. Bring the hands, back of the hands to the side to rest on the mat. And turn the gaze to the right. Let your left cheek just rest for a moment and release through the buttocks, through the upper back. See if your shoulders are tented up. See if they can melt in. Take a deep breath, press into the chest and the pubic bone to gently lift the head. Rest the chin and the mouth on the mat once more. We're going to walk the fingers up. And once more, we're going to pillow the brow underneath, the hands underneath the brow. Let's go ahead and bring the tops of the feet in a little wider than your hips. And what you're going to do is just feel like you're lengthening while your leg is on the mat. Don't drag your kneecap, but see if you can lengthen the leg. Extend the leg, activate the leg. Make it one long leg where you're gently pointing, not too hard. We don't want to pull a muscle in a calf. But just lengthen through that leg, and then exhale, release. Inhale, lengthen through the left leg now. See if you can activate the foot to point, and then slightly engage the calf and the thigh so that they straighten out. You're not hyperextending your knee, but perhaps the engagement of the hamstring, glutes, quads, calves engages the entire leg. So you can point it while it's still resting on the mat. Feel one nice long leg. You should feel an activation from the hip all the way down to the toes. And then release. Breathe deeply. And we're going to bring the hands down. You can engage once more. The mouth slightly hovering above the mat. And we're going to have the palms now turning to be touching the mat. We're going to inhale, extend through both the legs. Point both legs long down the mat while they're still on the mat. Make it nice and long. See if you can have one engaged long, I guess like fish-tailed tail. And then exhale, release. Turn the gaze to the left and allow the right cheek to rest. See if you're tenting your shoulders, your hips, let them melt into the mat. And release. All right. Inhale, press into the chest, into the pubic bone so you can bring the face back to the mat, gently hovering right there. We're going to bring the legs together this time. And we're going to bring the arms out to a T. And then you can separate the feet just slightly. Just have the legs underneath the hip bones if you can. And we're going to inhale, lengthen through the legs, through the arms like you're a starfish. And see if you can even lengthen through the neck, through the crown of the head, so you're just nice and long. And as you're there lengthening, see if you can inhale deeply and lift up the fingertips, maybe the toes, maybe the tops of the feet, maybe the shoulders. And then exhale, return to the mat. Bring the backs of the hands to support the brow line once more, if that's comfortable for you, I should say. Another breath or two here. And then we're going to meet on our back. So for me, transitioning by just simply extending an arm, using the other hand to help roll with this kickstand hand position. So I can just roll slowly and gently onto my back. Maybe onto my block as well. So as soon as I get that off, then we can slide gently in shoulders, alternately with hips, slow and steady back onto the mat. And that's how I come back here. If your favorite way of getting onto the back is different, feel free, please. So here we're just going to do one more deep knee bend in our bridge, base bridge position, just to help. Right now, we're going to inhale, extend the left leg, and it doesn't have to be straight. Go ahead and bring the right hand to reach up to wherever it can touch onto this left leg. And then we're just going to start to roll over to the right. You can use this right hand in a kickstand hand position to just help support this leg, and your right foot is rolling to the right edge. You may have the ability to just completely roll to this side and land this left foot, and making small modifications here. If you had your landing block situated, it might look something like this. With your first deep windshield wipe to one side, and it's sort of like a spinal twist as well. The last thing might be to just orient your gaze, your hands, hand position, the palms up or down. And another deep inhale, another deep exhale. And then we're going to inhale, bring this right hand to help guide the left leg back, and the back returns to center on the mat. Let the left leg down, left foot lands, and extend through the left leg. Tap it out. Wiggle the ankle. And then let's bend this left knee once more. Bringing ourselves to a base bridge position. Make sure the back is in alignment with the neck. No folded skin. Nice and comfortable. Bring the hands down, palms on the mat, off to the sides of the hips. And then we can extend through the right leg this time. Give yourself a moment or two. And then bring the left hand to help guide the right thigh. Right arm can help push you over. And we'll just roll to a left side twist. Deep windshield wipe to the left leg. And if you like to land this right leg, you can. Or you can use gravity to find that spot that feels good to you. And again, if you have achiness in the hips, you're not going to go that far. You're going to be more on the back side. You're going to read how the body, hopefully, is feeling, and don't go beyond what you're able to do. And for me, I'm just hanging out with gravity and a little bit of hand support on my left hand. I didn't get to even the block on this side, but that's just the way it is today. Last thing is the orientation of the gaze and the hands. And give yourself a few more breaths. And when you're done with your very last breath, you're going to inhale, bring the gaze back in line with the chest, and help to push this right leg back to center with the left arm. Both hands might have to be used in whichever way, just to get back onto the mat. And then keeping both knees bent for just a moment, we're going to windshield wipe gently on the back of the sacrum here, and then extend. Once you stop, extend through that right leg. Gently find that landing of the calf, and then you can tap it out too gently if it feels good. We are moving into our Shavasana, so I'll be sitting upright to mind the time. But as you become more comfortable in this final resting pose, you can get a blanket to cover you. You can extend through the legs, keep them together, and then just let the feet roll out. If it feels good to keep the legs like that, you can. Or if you like to have your legs just a little wider, maybe with each foot pointed towards the corners of the mat. It's up to you. What feels good in this last part of your practice might just help you release that much more. When you hear the 3 bells, will awaken. bringing the mind back to the body. Take note of sounds outside the room, sounds within the room, and finally back to the breath. Feel the air enter the nose. Feel the air a little warmer as it exits the nose. And as you begin to reconnect to the body vessel, I invite you to make any movements with the fingers, toes, gently rocking any part of the body to help just bring you back into the present. Find your way into a fetal position, and then perhaps using your arms, helping yourself to an upright position. We'll be leaving class today with our cat-cow breath exercise in a seated position. It'll help us to just become a little more grounded and help waken us just slightly from our little respite we had here. So sitting up nice and tall. You can sit with feet in an easy seated position like this, or have your legs out in a staff position. Whichever works for you. Just make sure that you're feeling the sits bones are supporting the body so that your spine can sit upright. I'll turn to the side so you can see how it plays in the seated position. If you've done cat-cow usually from a tabletop position, it's different. But sometimes just coming out of a nice deep practice, it's actually very comforting in a seated position to do as well. So sitting up nice and tall, torso is about this 90-degree angle, and keeping a nice deep inhale. Let's begin. Feel the inhale coming all the way up through the spine, through the crown of the head, keeping the hands at the thighs. We're going to exhale, start to curve at the top of the shoulders, start to bend the spine. Fully exhaled here, draw the belly button in towards the spine. Inhale, start to press into your hands, if they're on your thighs or if they're on the mat. And you're lifting up the chest, leading with the chest, gently lifting with the gaze. Exhale, cat, round the corners of the shoulders. Feel as if you're stretching. And if you feel better with bringing the hands down to the mat, you can. Inhale, cow, soft belly. Exhale, start to curve at the shoulders, cave out the belly, cat. And one more, inhale. Cow, open up through the shoulders, lift through the heart. Exhale, cat. Round through the shoulders, space out the shoulder blades, and come back to an upright, centered, seated position. Bringing the hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining us here at the ACC Community Room for Gentle Yoga at 2 p.m. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.